Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan that has barely watched any object shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome into Object Catchup, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, for today, we're going to be taking a look at a request that is long, that I really didn't have a better time to take a look at. So I decided, we're going to do this, okay, because we got to do it eventually, right? So recommended by Crimson, which is a member of the WTB team, as well as a couple of other shows. I mean, like, fine, no, that was a different person. Sorry, but they were for a bunch of shows. They recommended. Well, they asked me if I saw Flesh, so I was like, yo, I should see Flesh then. I pretty much treated it as like a de facto request, even though it's not technically a request. So Flesh, or the funny low effort show Horse, which is the abbreviated The Flesh is a show created by Flavio, which has had 2 seasons so far. It seems to be a ship post-ish type of show. So we're gonna see. All right, we're gonna watch season 1, and then hopefully we can watch season 2 as well, although it is longer in every nature. We're gonna start off here with Flesh, episode 1, which is titled "This Show Is Awful." Let's go. Let's watch it. Let's do all that jazz. Alright, so that is episode 1 of Flesh, and we do indeed have ourselves a very joke show style of cast. Alright, so we have ourselves the 8 contestants. What are the 8 contestants that comprise Flesh Season 1? Well, we have Bonk Atomic Punch, which seems to be a type of explosive drink, which is fun. We've got Goku Head, which is a Goku Head. I think they speak in Goku voice lines, which is always interesting. I always find it interesting a character that speaks in voice lines. More shows should do that. Joe Bird, it's like Joe Biden, but it's like the bird from like Angry Bird. Great stuff. Then we've got Medikit. I don't know if I'm TF2. I think Piano, which is just a falling piano. That's fun. Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong. They smoke weed a lot, and that'll be the joke, presumably, for the rest of the series. Sock Puppet. This character was actually really interesting. I wonder, did we actually just film a sock puppet? Because they do actually move in the way that you'd expect it to. Like, it syncs up to the vocal. It's not like a PNG, which is interesting. That's actually like surprising the amount of effort, to be honest, for a character. Steven Universe, but it's like a fat guy named Steven, I think. But it's with a shield. And then we've got our host, which is an Italian, like the what are you? An Italian friggin' meat guy at the guy at the store that like serves the meat. Yeah, that guy. The challenge for episode 1 of the show is to catch a teddy bear with tanks. You have to use the tanks, which is interesting. There's only one teddy bear that you can actually find, and it's in a house. So what do? We freaking run over the house. The teddy bear starts, it explodes, run away. It ends up in the middle of the path, and then the 2 tanks crash into it. They end up dropping right beside the host, and then it just so happens that Piano and Joe Bird, who were not even in a tank because they were too busy flying up into the sky, actually popped in and fell right behind him as well. So Piano and Joe Bird win the challenge. They get to live another day, and everybody else is up for elimination. Who would I eliminate here? Probably Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, because I'm not too into the joke personally. Like, it's kind of like, okay, I get it. You'll be like, hoo hoo hoo, then like do smoke weed, right? At least you have a characters you can do a hint, like some more varied gags. But the Seth Rogen like the fact that it's a Seth Rogen Donkey Kong is specifically so you can make the one joke, and then after you make the one joke, there's nothing else that you can really do about it, right? But yeah, what do I think of this cast? This cast, I mean, look, it's the most joke show cast ever invented, right? But like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I do find the Saw Puppet interesting, to be honest. I think they've got some potential. And just kind of throw it out there around them. Medkit wins the show. All right, prediction. Bold prediction as of episode 1, Medkit is going to win the series, okay? They just gave me the vibe of character that's for real enough that they can survive in this show if they're just not extremely boring. But yeah, we're gonna hope for the best. Apparently, this was made in one day. To be fair, there's a decent amount of like storytelling going on in this episode, considering that like it was made in one day, but there's an episode here, right? There's a challenge that happens and evolves, like procedurally happens, right? Like you see, there's a start, then they crash, and there's an explosion, then you drop in the floor, then they attack, right? Like it is a written episode properly, which is nice to be fair for the fact that it's made in one day. So I respect that absolutely. That is episode 1 of Flesh. Let's head into episode 2 of Flesh, which is way longer. It is titled Average French Person. Let's go. Okay, so this is episode 2 of Flesh, and it is a very interesting episode, okay? It's a very interesting episode because it is going to probably set here our baseline for how the future of the series is probably about to play out in terms of, like, how it acts, right? Like, how it's gonna be written, primarily. Not necessarily lore or whatever, just how it's gonna be written heading into the future. And if this is how the episodes are going to be written into the rest of the Flash series, what am I going to say? You know what? Sure, why not? Let's do that. It's fun. It's fun in a weird way, where like is it brain dead? Yes. Are random things happening? Yes. But at the end of the day, the random things are leading to random solutions, right? Like it's coordinated bullshit, right? Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but within the bubble that you place it in, it's fun, right? I'm not a big fan of nonsensical humor, right? In terms of like things happen for no reason because of things that are no reason. However, if we are layering ourselves the rules of a really dumb world, right? That is sort of built into nonsensical humor. It's like, yeah, sure. I mean, why not, right? Kind of like hearing the story of like, oh, it doesn't really make sense that the kid of the guy is getting stolen by a French guy to go to the France, and then they go to the airport and they fly to the France, and then they teleport on the Eiffel Tower or whatever. Right? Like none of that actually makes any sense if you think about it. However, at least within the rules, okay, of the video, when you're watching the video, you're going, okay, we're doing this, I guess, right? And I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of gags that did make me laugh. I was a big I was a big fan of of reading Wikipedia. I love the idea of reading Wikipedia. My favorite character is definitely the Atomic Punch Bonk. By the way, they first of all they look adorable. I don't know what it is about their facial, the way that they're drawn, their facial expression. It's the smallest dots. Their eyes are like the smallest dots humanly possible, and they speak like in such honesty. Like when when they said like, "What do you mean eliminate?" Like they had this voice crack. It felt so honest, it felt so real out of the character. But that was really cute. But yeah, by the way, the elimination, we ended up having the eliminated contestant be Steven Universe. Which yeah, I mean, I didn't calculate that the actual events of the episode mattered because technically, the teddy bear was injured because we ran straight into the house, right, with the tank of the team of the Saw Puppet and the Steven Universe, right? And then we eventually fetched off like the teddy bear from that, right? They exploded because of the house exploding, right? So that was what the problem was. So they were definitely at fault more than the DK. However, I think people did correctly gauge that the DK wasn't that interesting because of course they put him in second, most votes. Out there in the series as well, right? So that makes sense. However, yeah, I mean, I was wondering, both Saw Puppet and Steven Universe were up for Elam, despite the fact that they weren't, because it was kind of difficult to gauge which one of them actually wasn't doing it, because one of them was telling them to stop, and the other one is generally a nice person, but was the one driving the tank. So it was kind of it was a little bit weird, right, to proper gauge it. But yeah, I think they also did a relatively good job here when it comes to screen time, like not necessarily to figuring out ways to make the characters that weren't too interesting a little bit more interesting this time, right? Like since only really one person is gonna be saved, I enjoyed how we took the time to give a character like Piano, right? Because a character like Piano is usually going to be dead off the gate because they're one gag, they're not anything, they don't speak, they can't do any type of verbal joke, right? And it's not funny. But here we actually get to have Piano more properly as part of the action in the way that they actively seem to think, they seem to strategize, they seem to do various things, which is nice. I do appreciate that quite a bit. And I think that it's good, right? Or a character like Goku Head, we ended up doing some interesting moments with Goku Head as well. You know, you get the pity, like no, we fell down, right, and everything. There's a lot of round and gags around Paris with the Jordans and everything, right? But like in general, it's fun. The DK as well, of course, being the one who does the sacrifice and ends up also being safe, ends up, I guess, earning, you know, more interest because they actually do more of the challenge, right? Of course, they win the immunity. However, like they start to pick up more as a character. He's like, yo, Seth Rogen Donkey Kong, not an interesting character, right? So then here we have this episode where they kind of ends up being the driving force of everything else that happens, right? And then you end up having DK being pretty vital to the episode, right? So like this is the type of thing that it's important and it's nice, because it actually seems to more properly impact things. So we're making the uninteresting characters a little bit more interesting in the way that it's written. So like you see, this isn't just a shitpost. This is a pretty expert shitpost. You know, like it's a shitpost that's written, but it respects the rules of itself, and it also does put an emphasis on trying to make each joke character have at least each joke properly played out. Right, give everybody the opportunity to be interesting, and then eventually the voters will vote people out, right? But like at the end of the day, there's an interesting possibility. The characters that are for elimination: the Bonk Atomic Punch, Goku Head, Joe Bird, Medkit, Sock Puppet, and Piano. You see, even Joe Bird, who debatably does the least in the episode, we can already see, however, that there's an arc going on there, right? If we keep them around, because they are the character that is observing Piano, right? They're like, ooh, I want to know, right? They can teleport, how they can teleport, right? And it is an immensely, it is interesting at the end of the day, right? So yeah, I really don't want to eliminate the Bonka and Medkit do it, even though technically Medkit sleep doesn't do much, says sleeping for 3 hours, although that is a fun gag. I wouldn't eliminate them. I would probably, you know what? I would probably still predict that Joe Bird gets eliminated because, yeah, they had the thing, right? They had the thing with the piano. However, it was right at the beginning of the episode. A lot of shit happens, and I can't currently see anybody else getting out. Either Joe Bird or Meg Hit, but I'm not too sure. But I'm gonna say Joe Bird. I'm gonna say that Joe Bird in this case is gonna be the one getting eliminated because Bonk and Medkit, they have the final scene of the episode, right? And if you have the final scene of the episode, a little bit less likely, right? To have the post-credit scene of the episode, right, where they end up in Finland instead of France, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I really hope Bonk Atomic Punch remains. That's my new favorite character in the series. And overall, that is what I can say. Oh yeah, the credits of Flash are so long. But yeah, it's fun. I am an enjoyer of the humor being presented here because it is not completely nonsensical. It is at least nonsensical but playing by rules, so you can laugh at the story being played out rather than just laughing at 10 gags, right? Like yeah, that's the main difference. Instead of laughing at 10 gags that are placed out, you're laughing at a story with 10 gags in it. Basically, right? You know, it's a story. The gags might not make much sense, but if you can wrap it up in a bundle of story, it makes sense. That's kind of how a comedy movie plays out. You know, like, comedy. Okay. Comedy movies, a lot of the time, comedy movies don't really make sense, right? But if you just put any individual joke from it, I mean, it will be okay, but it's not going to make a great comedy movie. However, a comedy movie plays itself out by kind of not really making much sense in the reality of things, but by sort of just placing everything within the confines of its universe. Like, oh, in this universe, dogs can think and talk and troll humans, and it's like, okay, I guess we can do it, right? In this universe, we got Alvin and the Chipmunk, right? Like, there's not it grounds itself, and it can make jokes within it, and then it makes more sense, right? And that's, I think, what this show does pretty decently, right? Which is pretty nice. Okay, my apologies. I forgot to do the outro for the thing, the outro for like the segment, right? But where I introduce the next one. My apologies. So the next video that we're going to be taking a look at is Flash episode 2.5. I know, right? The point 5. I think it's the only point 5 episode that there is. It is very short, and it is the one that breaks us. It forms that's the barrier between the sub 10-minute episodes and the over 10-minute long episodes. All right, so I mean, it's probably not that important, but hey, let's take a look at it. Let's do that, Jazz. It seems to be they're being filmed in real life or something like it. Let's go. The filler one. Let's go. Okay, so that is Flash episode 2.5, the filler one. I mean, it is filler, but it's funny. I don't mind. So they end up in Finland, okay, and then we have stick like puppets or draw like paper things of the two pale fellas, the Medkit and the fucking drink bonk, whatever. That ends up in Finland, and they're just and Bonk is just excitedly showing them. Oh my god! Look at all these Finnish things, like a Ferris wheel and a statue and a water and a different statue. It's great. It's fun. It's a lot of very fast paced gags, and I enjoy it. Um, to be fair. So this was presumably, I mean, this is actually filmed in Finland. What do I think of Finland? I don't know. I've never been to Finland. I've not even been in the vicinity of Finland, but I'm sure that it's a cool place that you can go to. I think I don't think Finland is the home of wherever we went. Yeah. So I think this was a holiday. And we were just taking advantage of it, and it does indeed happen. So that makes sense. But yeah, we have a cool little episode. I didn't mind. It was a fun little video. It was very high energy, which is something that I will say I'm gonna commend this series for doing. They're managing to keep stuff pretty high energy, which I think is cool. However, yeah, at the end of the day, it's filler. Let's get back to the real shit because it's time for Flash Ep.58, which is titled none other than the one with Greeny in it. Okay, then let's go. Alright, so that was episode 3 of Flesh, the one with Greeny in it. Hey, Greeny guy was indeed in the video. I can confirm that that is indeed one of the things that happened. That was cool. I originally didn't catch it because I guess I'm not. I guess I don't really know Greeny guys was that well, but it was indeed there. It was in the credits or everything. So it's cool. It's cool that Greeny guy comes in and makes these appearances. I've seen it in a couple of different smaller shows now, and I think it's a fun cameo to have when possible, right? So I think it's nice, interacting with some of the smaller shows. Speaking of shows, this show's title is fake. This show's title is false. This shit is called the low effort show. No. This is actually like impressively high effort. Like I was just looking at this and I was just going like, yo, I mean, for a shitpost show, right? For a show that's entirely jerk in nature, there's actually so much subtle effort that's placed into it, right? From the Minecraft map to just the way that the characters go, right? To like the Dragon Ball impacts and explosions and when Goku does stuff, right? And the tons of screams and the story and like consistent and like it's cool, man. It's cool. This shit is cool. So let's start off here with the beginning. So apparently the country of France has disappeared because of a piano, apparently. Well, according to Joe Biden, Joe Bird, it was because of piano, and it's a valid theory if the country of France disappeared, because somebody said, hello, do you want onions? And then that means that they get crushed, but it happens that the entire country of France gets crushed as well. So yeah, it's looking interesting here for the piano saga. They might have just destroyed France. It was pretty crazy, but right before they end up analyzing who it is, Piano comes in and destroys the TV. The villain Piano, the villain, OMG. But we then have the elimination. And here in the elimination, we end up having Joe Bird indeed eliminated. I was correct by 1 vote over Piano. I'm surprised that in the last episode, here in that voting, Piano got still this many votes. I thought they would get way less because they were pretty damn integral to the channel. They're pretty interesting, right, as well. And there's something on about them, right, which I thought was gonna persuade viewers more towards like properly making Piano stay, but no, Piano still barely got eliminated by 1 vote. But yeah, goodbye, Joe Bird. You were kind of crazy. And then we have ourselves a trip to the zoo. So the zoo, it is the Chef Pee Pee Zoo. Apparently, is the one where they're going, which is interesting. It's the zoo where everybody is Chef Pee Pee. You know, the one from SML. I wonder if that video of beating up the bluebird from Angry. I wonder if is that an original video? Like, is that like was that filmed for Flesh the show, or is there just a video out there on the internet that we called back to? Did we Google video of guy beating up a plush of bluebird from Angry Bird? Is that is that? I hope that is what happened. You know, fun fact, I did have a plush of that. So yeah, shout out to Angry Birds plushies. Those were the shit. Okay, those were the gang. Um, but yeah, we then get introduced to our zoo. It seems to be various animals, but again, more to a Chef Evie, and people start to get more and more annoyed until eventually we free the animals. Okay, we free it, and everybody goes wild. And then the challenge is, okay, you guys are stuck. Escape. All right. First of all, one thing I'm gonna say. Yeah, no, still absolutely adore the bonk cup, the atomic fella. They look the way that it's drawn is super adorable. They act adorable. I like Finland. I like them. This might be a goated character, but and they're just funny. But yeah, they end up over in the gorilla enclosure as the gorillas were playing poker. Saw Puppet, yeah, Saw Puppet has to be custom recorded. And see, this is what I mean. Like, it's such a high effort shit post now that it really is. How Saw Puppet ends up doing it, ends up getting stuck. Eventually, gets like friggin' sick from the mosquito, from the Chef PP mosquito. Bonk eventually cheats at poker and loses. Meanwhile, the other fellas end up having an epic battle in Minecraft, and you see even like the Minecraft ground shakes, and then we get to properly see when somebody flies up into the sky, you get to see the entire map from above, right, and all that stuff, and it's like, whoa! I mean, it's just cool. It's just cool, isn't it? Like, it just is those types of things that, no, yeah, I'm gonna definitely start getting used to it pretty soon, right? But for now, I'm still like, wow, for a show that I was expected to be, a joke, low effort show for funsies, it's a joke, high effort show for funsies, right? Like, it's like we're doing a lot of sneakily complicated shit, right? Which is interesting, and it's just kind of creative as well. Like when like here in the scene where Donkey Kong is beating up the gorilla, right? And it's like we're using the frames from the Smash Bros. Attacks. Like there's just like there's a degree of actual like big brain ideas into making this show work, because what I think is happening here, right, is that we are given a blank slate of just bottom of the barrel characters, right? Like at the end of the day, we're giving a bottom of the barrel. We got Piano, Joe Bird, right? We've got like some freaking Seth Rogen Donkey Kong, right? Like we're like host of just some random town butcher, right? Like we are given the bottom of the barrel. However, that means that we gotta get creative, right? Like we have to start more properly thinking about ways to make it interesting, right? It ends up becoming a challenge, right? In a sense, it's like it's a writing challenge. We have got ourselves a complicated situation. Now we have to write a fun episode utilizing these characters in interesting ways, because at the end of the day, a joke show can only be funny if it has many jokes, right? Because like at the end of the day, people can only find one note funny for so long. So this show is having the interesting thing of needing to more properly vary it on the notes, make characters do different things, like pop out, do different jokes, different tactics, right? Like this, you do this and you do that, and you reference this and you reference that, right? It's playing with a deck, right? It's trying to form a meta with a deck, basically. All right, which is it's fun, and I appreciate it a lot. It is one of those shows that's a little bit difficult to talk about it, because it's one of those shows that's like, discussing decisions in this show doesn't really make much sense, because the decisions are jokes. Right? Like, the show is a meme, so it's kind of hard to judge the decisions that the characters make within the meme, right? However, at the end of the day, it's still cool. Like, it's still cool, and I'm gonna find ways to talk about it in extent. But anyways, how does the challenge actually end? So we end up fighting, and eventually we end up crashing down, destroying the floor, which opens up a secret lair, which Donkey Kong, Medkit, and Goku had, and they go in it, and we find an evil scientist from Plants vs. Zombies who morphs animals with shed pee. Goku head decides to explode so that the fella dies, and the entire thing's going to explode, and no evil can be done again. However, they can't get back up. So eventually, Donkey Kong goes like, Goku head, for that one time I won the challenge without you. I need to avenge my sins or whatever, right? So I'm gonna save you guys. I'm gonna stay down here. It's like, oh my god, ultra epic sacrifice, right? So then those two end up being saved, Medkit and Goku. Oh yeah, no, that was a great job. The freaking fighting, because I'm fucking dead. That was fun. But then that means that everybody else is up for elimination. Bonga, Tommy Putz, Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, Saw Pocket, and Piano. So out of those, I really don't want Bonka, Tommy Putz to go home, because they're extremely funny. I find them extremely funny, and they're adorable. Seth Rogen and Donkey Kong definitely shouldn't go home, because of course they did the sacrifice. They're like, oh, I learned from my mistakes, I improved, right, and everything, and it's cool, and we enjoy it, right? So that leaves Sock Puppet and Piano, which are the two characters that didn't appear. Piano just kind of wasn't present in this episode. Like in the zoo itself. I think they do show up in the post-credit scene, in the lab, as potentially a fella that was helping out. And Soft Puppet just simply doesn't have that much screen time in general, right? They run around, they escape, they get hit by the mosquito, they're allergic to it, and then that's it, right? Which is unfortunate. So they don't have much screen time. My opinion is that Piano's gotta go home. Piano was already going home nearly every time when they actually seemed like a character that wanted to help and do interesting things. Now we have a very likely possibility that Piano is evil, destroyed France, helped out in the PPE animal testing, and Joe Burr doesn't like them, right? So, okay, even though it could be interesting to keep them in the show, in a vote to eliminate, I mean, you absolutely should eliminate the ultra villain, the Piano, right? That just makes the most sense as a decision. So, that's presumably what we're gonna be doing here. Although the votes have been super close, like both times. There haven't been too many votes, but like we've kept them really close so far, which it is a testament to how the show is managing to do a very good job of keeping every joke in check, right? Never overdoing one character, but never underdoing another character, right? Like, it's doing pretty decent. Even though in this episode, I think Saw Puppet definitely suffers from getting underbaked a little bit, right? Like, they could have had an additional scene, but they don't, right? But other than that, everything's cool, and the show, it's if you look under the hood, there's a weird amount of complexity that I actually really enjoy. But let's go to episode 4, Flesh, Objection. Haha. Okay, so that is episode 4 of a Flash. Wow, I mean, I am firmly and entirely shook by that video. I'm not gonna lie, but okay, so wow, that those were some long feeling 16 minutes. So the best way to describe what I just watched, okay, is that this felt like a loop. I'm not gonna lie. So what? Okay, so the plot line of this episode, all right, is that basically we're just having a normal day, right? We're chatting a little bit. We're playing games and shit. And then while we're doing the elimination as usual, we end up arresting Butcher. Okay, we are arrest Butcher. Why do we arrest Butcher? Because apparently Butcher destroyed France. Remember the France destruction that happened? Well, Butcher destroyed France. All right. So now that he's doing that, he apparently, by the way, he didn't just destroy France. He apparently destroyed France, Mexico, Moldova, Australia, and Russia. That is a lot of places that we destroyed. That we did, yeah, we did a lot of stuff there. So there is a country destroyed. They are destroying all of the countries, and we're getting there, including Moldova. I don't know why. Who cares about Moldova? But we are destroying Moldova, which is yeah, that is interesting. But like we end up having some scenarios. So then they get arrested in the middle of the voting. We discovered that Piano, by the way, gets successfully eliminated with how many votes? Hold on. Hold on. Eliminated. Piano is eliminated with 19 votes to 4. Wow. Okay, that is a lot of things. That is a lot of votes, and it seemed pretty. Yeah, it was pretty obvious, to be honest. That Piano was getting eliminated. They're clearly the villain character being constructed, as you can see in this episode, as you can see in the outro. Right in the post-credit scene, you can see that we're really constructing Piano out to be the villain, which is really funny. I will admit, out of every character to make the villainous one, the fact that we are making the fucking piano that teleports, that is the villain, the country destroyer, and all of that stuff is it is pretty hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, that is funny. But eventually they end up adventuring as usual. Bonk is great. I love Bonk. But this bro is like, well, I don't know, but at least I got this paper. Like they're adorable. Why can we stop? Like, can we please? Um, but yeah, they go to court, and now the defense disappears as we have William, freaking Squilliam Fancy Son, whatever they're called. Fancy Squidward is the prosecutor, so they're trying to prosecute Butcher because they destroyed France, right? And then there's no defense, so who arrives? The five of them arrive to successfully defend together, as a unit, try to find a way to defend this guy in court, to defend Butcher in court, prove that they're not guilty, which, to be fair, they aren't, right? And do all of that jazz. So I must admit, um I think that this show is doing okay. It's doing a really good job in character balancing. No, it really is. Right? Like it's done such a great job at making these five characters feel like pretty intertwined, and that intertwinement makes them really not that distinct, right? Like you can have like no character is really that much worse than another, they don't get that much less screen time, they're not that much less important. Like every character has had important moments and fun moments and all of that jazz, and it ends up that I think this is actually an excellently balanced cast. I'm not gonna lie, but we end up having our prosecution itself. So, what do we think? We think that oh, okay. Well, look. Basically, this is a very difficult video to talk about because there's really not that much to say because like we end up just doing the process. We have got evidence shown, then we disprove it. The next thing shown, we disprove that. Then got witness, and we disprove the witness. Then witness lies, and oh my god, and then oh my good, and then oh my god. Right? There's a lot of oh my gods at play right now. Right? So like, I mean, yeah, it's fine. Then we end up having apparently the pastor says that bro went to France. Okay. Then we get our witness, which is the guy who stole the sun. Okay, remember the guy from the other episode, the French guy who stole the sun. So this guy comes up with an excuse, going like, "Well, I what was the story?" I don't remember. The story was, oh, I was walking and then I was getting chased because they wanted to steal my son. So I went to the Eiffel Tower and then I exploded or whatever. And then I went to the hospital in Brussels or something because we found out that the France exploded or whatever, right? And then it's like, okay, it's interesting. But then, we start disproving that, like, yo, this is the guy, right? Um, because we end up successfully finding the proof, right, that this fella was indeed kidnapping the son and not the other guy, because we have the episode of Flesh itself. Apparently the episode is canonical to the show. I mean, it makes sense that, I mean, like, we're in a show. We do know that we're in a show, but like, we didn't know that the episodes themselves, right, the ones that are on YouTube, actually aired, but it seems like they did actually air because we get to see clips of them and they're used as evidence in this case, which is interesting. That's a detail that we can prop in and out, right, for some for that jazz, right, which is pretty cool. And then officially the fella ends up trying to come in with an image and everything, right? And go like, "Yo, this was proof," and then no, it's actually a drawing. And then the kid that got kidnapped is like, "Oh my god!" And now I'm alive now, conveniently, and this is the guy that just so happened to kidnap me. Isn't that crazy? Which is really fun. I don't know how the kid knows, but I don't know how the kid's alive. But yeah, eventually, French guy ends up getting sent to Florida to go chill there in Miami, which it's not the best place to go. It's not the best place to go to. So they end up getting dodoned, they get deleted. So then what's next? Then we have the second witness. So the second witness is Onion Guy, who was selling onion. I can't even say it. This is such a dumb plot line. I mean, it's fine. No, again, I don't mind it. Within its universe, okay, it's perfectly fine. Like we've set up a universe where this type of bullshit happens and we're following the bullshit. But like, it's really funny to describe, okay? So Onion Guy has been selling onions since 1860, and he's like, "Yo, I was selling onions." So, and then there was an explosion at at the Eiffel Tower, right? So I exploded, and then I woke up. Everyone's panicking. There was another explosion, but it was really big, and then apparently this guy is immortal or something. So that's why this bro is surviving, right? So okay, then you end up Goku's like, "Oh, I crushed you because I fell down off the Eiffel Tower." I'm like, "Wait, you did that, right?" And then it's like, "Okay, that makes sense." But then they immediately go, "Yo, Goku had destroyed France," but no, apparently it was Piano, which Goku realizes, and it's like, "Oh my God, Joe Bird was right all along." Oh my God! Right? I mean, they don't actually say that, but like it's true. So then Onion Guy was like, "Yo, I got proof. I have an image that I took." Um, and it shows Butcher in the sky, like the image, but it's Butcher in the sky, and Butcher has Nike shoes. But then hold on, Butcher doesn't have legs. They don't even have Nikes. Well, the Nikes are right there, but the Nikes have blood on them. Oh my God! Because if you explode a country, the blood of the country would be there. I don't know how that's evidence. Now that I think about it, I mean, I got a blood, but that could be from anything realistically. I can't just be that. So. Yeah, other way it's not blood, it's ketchup, apparently, right? So then this guy has been firmly disproven until we end up having a shit ton of knowledge. But then eventually we end up turning it back on because the Squidward goes like, "Oh, I have a Mercedes. I'm gonna drive away in my Mercedes Benz." So then we go like, "What? You do not have a Mercedes Benz. You drive a Toyota." For a minute, I thought that they were gonna make the joke. What? Mercedes Benz is a French company. They don't exist anymore. How can all their cars disappear? I thought that was gonna be the joke they were making. No, they're just saying that bro's poor. Fair enough. Um, but yeah, it's so many times we have the crowd cheer, then the gavel bang, and there's a order in the court. Okay, do they do that in Ace Attorney Batman? How many times do they do that in Ace Attorney? Because of course this is an Ace Attorney thing, right? I mean, like we're definitively taking inspiration from that in the way that it works, in the way that the title cards are cross examination, the title cards are witness testament, right? All that, yeah, right? But like the title card for objection, for hold it, right? But like, do we really have that many times where the crowd chatters and we say order? Maybe. Um, but then eventually saw Puppet and end up listening to the final blow, seeing looking at Bro said a Toyota, which means that you officially arrested Bro for lying in a court, and then the verdict gets given from there because the prosecution is gone, which means the Saw Puppet ends up being the one to deliver the final punch. It's a really interesting challenge in a way because it's like everybody in it doesn't technically like you can do nothing, right, as they did the prosecution, and then you can come in and go pow right at the end. If you just have to deliver the final blow to win, you know. And because other than that, someone can do 99% of damage. If you do the 1%, you're up or even, and everybody else up for elimination. This is interesting. So Bonk, Goku, Medkit, or Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong. Ooh, do. Okay, I think that Goku Head, in my opinion, should be safe. They're doing alright. We get to see Goku Head more properly speak. Goku Head isn't actually speaking in voice lines as I thought, where we have some sort of text-to-speech Goku-y voice going on, so it's not really. Which is unfortunate because I did find the idea of Goku speaking in voice lines to be cooler. Although, like at the end of the day, I mean, we're kind of just we're going along with it, you know. So okay, sure, right? Then we have Medcat I think should be safe as well, in my opinion, because Medcat just spoke so much in this episode. Medcat did like the entire first half of the prosecution of the case, right? And then did like so much of the talking earlier, like when they were talking to Butcher before the day before, right? So they should be saved by just over talking, which is Bonk Atomic and Seth Rogen Donkey Kong. Both of them did pretty alright. I must admit, Bonk didn't do that much. If I were to directly tell you in terms of who would get eliminated, dude, it might be Bonk. You know, I'm gonna say Seth Rogen Donkey Kong, okay? I know Bonk didn't do that much. I can see Bonk getting eliminated, very realistically. However, I'm gonna say Seth Rogen Donkey Kong. I wanna believe that my G, my goat remains in another day. Okay. So let's hope that Seth Rogen Donkey Kong gets out on this episode. But that's my reasoning for it. And now we just gotta see if it's correct. Then we have ourselves a post-credit scene, which is a piano over there somewhere, having ran away, doing the plans. So the plans are win the first challenge, did that. Get rid of Joe Bird, did that. Create the Chef PP Zoo with Zomboss, did that. Frame Butcher from my crimes, I guess. And then wait for the finale and destroy the horse. So, presumably this means that there's not going to be too much piano involvement going on, although Goku Head does seem to have caught on that it is piano, right? We did seem to catch that on. The thing about it is I don't think that Goku Head is going to do much about it. Right, so I think in general we're gonna be safe. We're gonna most likely see this plot line play out. We're gonna be anticipating the finale, and then Piano's gonna come in and attack, attack, right? And then it's going to be interesting. So, yeah, overall, interesting episode. Felt like a proper trip watching it because of how many times it felt like we were in an infinite cycle of like random evidence that's bullshit, proof against it, repeat, proof against it, repeat, proof against it, evidence, repeat, proof against it, evidence, proof against it, repeat. I said those in the complete wrong order, but like that was roughly what I was thinking. I was like, oh my god, bro, this will last forever. No, 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 no. Okay, have I yapped enough? Should I yap more? Should I go like no, I'm sorry. Let's go to the episode. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to talk about the thing. That happens where like the guy who sings the elimination time song, which I'm saying the guy, it's just Flavio, it's just the creator. It's not like a character. It's just freaking. It goes like, no, you don't. I won't want to sing it anymore. And just freaking shoots the other fella to send him to do it. That's actually crazy. That's a crazy plotline. I like how the police officers hear about that is canonical. Like that is in the show. This show is interesting, man, because the show's happening within the show. Like the actual meta elements of the show are also a part of it, which kind of makes for an interesting situation. So yeah. Let's go to episode 5, which is titled Christmas Clash. Oh, 'tis the season. Let's go. Okay, so I just watched episode 5 of Flesh, all right, which was pretty fun. So, okay, this show, all right, has an interesting capability. So I was wondering in the last episode how I was gonna like its length, right? Because it felt relatively lengthy with the fact that we end up mostly in the same setting the entire time, right? So I was wondering, and I was thinking in this episode, right? I think I kind of realized what was going on. Okay, this show has an absurd ability, an incredible ability to just um uh, go along with shit. All right, this show just manages to YOLO. You know, in stage play, there's this whole philosophy called yes and. Right, but when you're doing a stage play, you want to say like yes and to stuff, so that way you build off of stuff, right? That gets said rather than contradict it, because you have to improv, you have to go along with it. This show doesn't exactly do that, but I feel like it does a similar philosophy. For example, right? There's this one show that there's this one guy. It's a one-liner gag if you think about it, right? Butcher goes, "I was at the Object Show Awards," right? And then we get a clip of the Object Show Awards. But the thing about this clip is that it starts getting more and more like tech like complicated within its own, because then we get to discover who wins the award. Then the award winner gets to speak, talk about their family. Now their family exists, their family speaks, and then you see like the joke just builds itself off. And like, let me check for a moment. Like, it ends up being, yeah, a full minute. Like, it's a full minute of the episode is dedicated to what is overall a one-liner gag that we just built off because we felt like building it, right? So by the way, at the Object Show Award, for a fun fact, I was originally okay. I'm gonna be 100% honest. This was an idea that I had. However, I thought I shouldn't do that, right? Because like one of the things that I thought would it be cool would have been to do like an award show, but I think that at the end of the day, first of all, I don't have the audience for it. Second of all, I'm not sure if I like the idea too much, because it's fun, because like it'd be nice to award accomplishment, but at the same time it also encourages a bit of competition. That's why I don't like rate videos or anything. I try, like, I've had the idea of a tier listing shit before, but like I don't know, it encourages a bit too much competition, right? And at the end of the day, I don't really want to do, like, I want to combine, I want to bring the people together, but I don't want to like do comparison too much in a direct sense, like I like this more than this, right? Like I do comparisons all the time to like show off a point that I mean for what is right or what something's not right, right? But like in general, it's interesting. Anyways, by the way, apparently the winner of the Object Show Awards was what, Brawl of the Objects or something from 2012, and then the fella comes in. I would like to thank my family and Michael B. Jordan, which is also there, and then some girl from Friday Night Funkin' Mod. I don't know what the name was, but then we end up having ourselves the elimination. So we're at the bedroom this time. I love how the house is entirely just black. It's just black with splatters, but they're just different items. It's a great house. Um, the fella Flavio is back here in the elimination time zone, and I guess they get teleported back every time it's an elimination. It's like, wait, what the fuck? What am I doing here? So yeah, unfortunately, I get this completely wrong. Bonk is indeed eliminated with 11 votes compared to the one and the only, which I predicted Donkey Kong actually got the least votes. No. My goat. They're gone. They left the best character ever. They're so cute. uh no, I'm so sad. They appear in this episode later, and I was overjoyed. Okay, I was overjoyed when I saw them again. Okay, they gotta be in the top character list. Okay, that they're character that I really like. Bonk is one of them. They're freaking adorable. But yeah, they get eliminated. They give a note to Medkit. the medkit is reading the notes, being like, because Bonk is one of those characters that's like unequivocally jolly all the time, right? And then medkit, even though they're like mildly, they get dragged along, and they're one of those people that's like they don't really mind that much hanging out with medkit, but at the same time they will be kind of annoying and mean to them for the sake of it. Like it's an interesting dynamic. I enjoy the dynamic. It's not too complex of a dynamic, but I enjoy the dynamic as well between them. I thought the Finland episode was really funny, right? The filler episode, so like it was fun. But then eventually we have ourselves the challenge. So a missile ends up crashing Santa's sleigh. So then Santa and the butcher end up being like, "Yo, this is the challenge. We each one of you guys get a sleigh, deliver gifts to the kids. The one with the most gifts wins." Now, gonna be honest, pretty much everybody ends up failing this challenge massively. I mean, it is a globally abysmal performance from every single party involved. However, some end up doing mildly better than others. So Donkey Kong, I think, does the worst. We have a lot of compilations and random gifts and stuff that end up taking it. Yeah, like for example, yeah, there's one gift that ends up taking 30 seconds of the video to just let it dance or whatever, right? Like it's so much shit. But yeah, no, all of them do an abysmal job. We have Bonk. Bonk shows up as a ghost to be like, Medkit, you can do it. It's like, yeah, maybe I can. So they try doing it. They invent like a gun. Yes, they invent a gun. Good stuff. They invent like a gun that shoots out presents. So they do that, which is interesting. But yeah, they end up having massive stuff. So yeah, DK. Okay, let me get these results for a moment. DK ends up getting 12 gifts given. Okay, which is okay. So they deliver a couple of gifts, then they just go sleep. They get like drunk or something. I think they did. I don't know what they did. I don't know how they got drunk, but they got drunk. Okay. So they do an abysmal performance, which is interesting. This does seem to be a thing that they do. The person with the least votes tends to do the least in the next episode, and then the person with the most votes tends to be safe in the next episode. Like you see how they tend to do this, kind of. I mean, that doesn't necessarily happen here, but yeah. Soft Puppet gets in third place. Soft Puppet is alright. I mean, they struggle a lot, but they still like they give gifts at the very least. They struggle while giving them, but they give it. Medkit does a little mildly better than Sock, managing to overtake them after their initial give up with the whole gun thing, which is interesting. However, Goku had by just simply TPing, pretty much just speedrunning it, right? Not really popping in too much because like popping into the houses, actually sneaking down the chimneys didn't seem to be a good idea. So we just put the sass, so we just shot it down there. Technically, the gifts were given, even though they weren't given in the proper fashion, which means that like it's fine, it counts. So Goku had played this smartly. That means that the rest of them are up for elimination after Santa dies some more. Medkit, Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, and Sop are up for Elam. Yet again, I want to say I would eliminate Donkey Kong because it's the character I see the least potential in. I really don't care. Like, okay, they've stopped being a one-note character in the sense that they're not really just weed joke haha anymore, but they're not weed joke haha anymore, but like they're just not really that much still. You know, they didn't we didn't give them that much of a personality back, you know, for their efforts. We didn't really see too much of a change, and then we also end up having Medkit and Saw Puppet. Medkit could get eliminated. That's the question. Does Medkit get pity or does Medkit not get pity? Because Medkit, of course, was being, you know, a little bit pissed to freaking the bonk, right? But then Medkit ended up going, oh, but was I a mean person? Wasn't I? And they did also get the second most votes the other time, right? So for the fact that they act kind of mean, they could get eliminated next to bonk. But I don't think that many people care about the bonk and Medkit plot arc because like they got top two most votes. In the last episode, I don't really think that that it's a thing that we're of countering too much. I'm still gonna say Seth Rogen Donkey Kong because I'm sorry, I just don't see another one. Like maybe I'm completely missing something. Yeah, maybe I am, but I just gotta say it's Seth Rogen Donkey Kong because I think it's Seth Rogen Donkey Kong. And Saw Puppet again ends up kind of being that middle of the road. They don't really do anything notorious to get it out, but they don't really do anything notorious to stay in. So you usually end up kind of in the middle between the ones that do, right between the more extreme options. Um, So yeah, we have. I like that the shout out to Barack Obama every time. I didn't mention it the other time, but yeah, shout out to Barack Obama for doing what they doing. Then Bonk and friggin' Joe Bro ends up being ghosts and just I guess hanging out as ghosts, which is interesting. Hey, apparently the ghosts can communicate to the real life people as well, but while they get to fly around, which is interesting. Piano's not a ghost though because they escaped. And there was there another like how many eliminated characters were there were three, no, yeah. So that's like, wait, were there three? No, surely there'd be four. Wait, who? Oh, where the hell did Steven Universe go? I don't, I don't know where Steven Universe went. But either way, they ended up dipping out from the history, and then that is that. All right, then let's go for episode 6 of Flesh, which is getting a more and more creative name by the minute. Inside the story. Let's go. Is this a Bowser? Is this Mario and Luigi? Okay, let's go. Okay, so that was that was episode 6 of Flesh titled Inside Story. So let's chat about it. Yeah, as it goes with this show has an immaculate, and I mean just immaculate capability of coming up with completely random bullshit. It is truly an exceptional piece of its time. I don't really know how to say any other way than the ways that I'm currently saying it. But yeah, Christmas is over. We end up having ourselves, yeah, because it's the new year, right? So we end up having the elimination where eliminated is Saw Puppet with 16 votes. Unfortunately, Seth Rogen Donkey Kong has some ultra gamer powers that allow Bro to remain active despite all of that jazz. But then after the house gets nuked by Piano nukes the house and starts a new attack to kidnap Butcher. Okay, kidnap Butcher, giving them more time, another episode to work with here, which is pretty interesting. And then we have ourselves the cat fella that introduces us to the situation, because they were hanging out, they were going like, yo, I was just chilling, and then I saw that this house, boom, got exploded. All right, which is pretty crazy. Um, so then they brought them. Wait, no, they didn't bring them over. Bowser kidnapped everybody, I think. Wait, I'm confused if the people themselves, the contestants themselves, if the cat brought them over or the fella brought them over. It's hard to understand. I'm not gonna lie, the YouTube, like I always have the audio subtitles on. This show, more than any other show, at least any other show with proper audio mixing, this show fails the audio test, like to actually understand the words so unbelievably often, because the accents are being played up here are so, or not necessarily accents, kind of the different tones, right, of voice. They get played up so much in the voices of these characters that so much of the time, like the YouTube doesn't even understand it. Like it proper fails. But either way, Bowser. To be fair, I don't understand a lot of it either. But anyways, Bowser ends up being apparently has a spouse or something. And they decided to try to find the best food because they are obese now, and they found the butcher because the butcher is a butcher, right? So they make the good food, and they made the food for the Christmas dinner and all of that stuff, and that's apparently the best food in the world, right? So they have a teleporter, and then they gave a couple of weapons. So they gave a staff to Goku, to the Goku head. They give a staff with uranium to Medkit, which can sort of work, I guess. And then they don't give anything to Sephiroth and Donkey Kong because they're already pretty good. They're already pretty tough fighter. And then they get teleported to the castle, to Bowser's castle, which has a lot of enemies in it. These enemies work, like, of course, we have some fight. There's a lot of fight scenes in this episode. When it comes to fighting and fight scenes, this show At least this episode doesn't play around. We have dry bones, which all die in various ways. Donkey Kong solos them. The staff with uranium freaking burns them alive. All right. And then we have a couple of blocks that give us some power ups. So we end up having an upgrade to the staff, which allows it to extend. Okay, so Goku had the updated staff that can extend now. Then we apparently have some new spells on the spell thing, which can spawn in, can revive people, and can apparently spawn in some other stuff. And then Donkey Kong just gets to be stronger. Like, we're not giving Donkey Kong any type of interesting capability, but it actually does end up being immediately useful because the spouse of Bowser has this ultra wind attack. However, Donkey Kong is just so powerful now that they don't feel it and can successfully bring the spell. Oh wait, delete it off the window, and then they officially reach the Bowser lair, the lair where Bowser is. And now they're gonna to fight Bowser. I'm not gonna lie, Bowser puts up a pretty damn good fight, considering, you know, Bowser is morbidly obese. Bowser ends up doing pretty damn well at a job to actually do, you know, what they're supposed to be doing. So we end up having some interesting things. Although I don't even know if that's about. Is that even Bowser? I don't know who that is. Because at the end of it, another Bowser shows up. Is that the son or is that the father? Is it? I no. I. Oh my god. I have no idea. I'm not gonna lie. My brain today has been omega fried. I didn't get an episode yesterday. Today was a tough day. This is rough, but rough time to watch this show. But I'll try my best out here. Dawn of the Fallen. What are we trying to do? We get distracted. Yeah, and then Donkey Kong is waiting for the staff upgrade, and with the staff they super crush the Bowser, right? Because they maximized it. Then they crush the Bowser, who dies. Then the other fella arrives. I just gotta say it. I was gonna say it. I adore the facial expressions of the show. Of like Bonk has it way more present, but even with Medkit, it's just like the little eyes, the little dots to represent eyes. Like, they're so small within the character. It makes it look really cool. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, but then Hasan and so the Bowser, the morbidly obese Bowser, that was the son Bowser, okay, which is a different. It's still Bowser, not Bowser Jr., but it's Bowser. It's a different character, but that's the Bowser. That's the son of the Bowser, okay. And then the real Bowser is the father Bowser, who's the more proper Bowser. What am I saying right now? I don't know. But they end up being like, "Oh my god, you're dead. Who did this?" So then they end up kicking Goku head out. They leave, and then we're like, "Shit! Oh yeah. Well, actually, somebody paid me to kidnap that guy," which is true. Um, and then eventually we end up attacking the Bowser with the mini fellas. So the staff and also summon mini versions of Medkit, I think. So then Medkit gets a new idea, which is to spawn one of them up there, so that way they can open the cage to free the man, the myth, the legend, Butcher, who was there still, while Bowser was fighting Sephiroth and Donkey Kong as a fight, alright? So they're doing all that jazz. But then, what happens? The cage falls on Bowser, which means that they get like a concussion and can't think straight anymore. Which means that the Sephiroth and Donkey Kong can deliver the punch that gets them out of the window, and then they eventually escape using a couple of tactics. Medkit dies up in a fire, but Sephiroth and Donkey Kong and Butcher end up managing to escape with one of the teleporters. From the cat or from Butcher or whatever. But anyways, they win the challenge and they make the finale. Woo! Let's go! Sephiroth and Donkey Kong proving me wrong. From day one, I was like, this guy getting out. No, this guy staying in. And maybe this guy just might win. Okay, this guy just might win as well. You know what? At this point, fair enough. Right? And then they, however, get to pick who goes to the finale with them. And at the final moment, Sephiroth and Donkey Kong picks Goku Head to go with them, which makes sense. I mean, when it comes to this stuff, to the interaction, Sephiroth and Donkey Kong has had a mild arc with Goku head. Even it's not that long, but as anything goes with the show, right? But at least it was there. We know when it comes to like Medkit, those two did never really gelled them. Like not necessarily because they just didn't have many interactions. You know, they didn't have too much to actually do, to actually say, to actually be, right? So like in general, we ended up sort of we just kind of relaxed it out, right? So Medkit is out, but then immediately gets revived. So, and then they get revived to watch the finale. We do get a vote, which is interesting because I was wondering. Okay, so we picked the finale characters already, so that way we don't need to do an elimination in the filler episode, right? Where you just have the voting. However, this isn't a vote to win because every character is present. It's just which one's your favorite. This is the type of vote, but the voting ends in 72 hours. What? No, I'm confused because this is the type of infinite vote that shows do all the time. Like, yo, what's your favorite character? Just for the interest of it, right? But here we're doing it at the finale when you'd very realistically expect the finale to actually have the the finale voting. So and Goku Head and Severing Duncon, those are present in the poll. So technically, will the one who gets the most votes out of them win? That's gonna be an interesting question. I don't know. I really don't. How? Why are we doing? I don't know. So we're not doing a vote. So viewers don't get to choose who wins. Is this gonna be a challenge finale? I feel like it's gonna be a challenge finale. I mean, especially considering the finale super long. But no, but the finale super long because Piano's gonna proceed to do the attack, right? That's what they're doing. So I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean finale. Yeah, I think finale's gonna do the attack. Yeah, no, I'm definitely. So they're doing that. If you're curious, my favorite character definitely Bonk. I don't like to give every. I'm not okay. I don't necessarily like to give favorite character, but just because I don't usually decide favorite character. In this show, oh, it's Bonk easy. Bonk's the best. Bonk is adorable. But yeah. So everybody's back, and then we have ourselves the attack that is incoming on the class. All right. So what is gonna happen? I don't really know. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna presume that there's a challenge. The challenge can't really be a combination of all the previous challenges, because like that's what every object show does. But there's no. But there. So I think I might have hit the microphone. But there's no way that that works here with the types of challenges that we've had here. I mean, okay. I guess my guess is that Piano's gonna come in with the attack, gonna kidnap the horse or whatever, right? And then it's gonna be the challenge: save the prize or whatever, like get the prize, stop Piano. And that's like the challenge, and then it takes a really long time, and it's gonna be like it's not okay. If we do that, I'm probably not gonna be that into it because it's just gonna feel like this, but more. It's gonna feel like the previous battle. Like there's been a lot of battling weird entities in this show, right? uh like the French guy and like there's a lot of outside forces that end up the challenge and everything. So yeah, by the way, shout out to the person in the comment section of all these videos. There's always the top comment just how many lines each character has. I mean, good to know. I mean, I love that statistic. I love those statistics. I think they're really fun. But like I'm surprised that this show has it. I've never seen one for like another show, to be honest. But I've always wanted to do that as like a character graph to like more properly like base out, like how those K-pop they do like the line distribution. I really wonder. I think that happened for BT a couple of times, but like I always find it really interesting in Objection because then you get to properly see the line distribution, like who actually did objectively speak the most in an episode, right? Like who got done dirty, who didn't get didn't get done dirty, right? Which I think really helps. It's really helpful data to put into perspective to a lot of things, right? Like who speaks the most and who speaks the least. Like actually quantifying that information because we can feel it when we're casting the voting decision, right? It's like, oh, I mean, I think we see you a lot, right? But but being able to place an objective metric on it, like you see for the comment for this episode says that uh you see, out of the 30, Goku had got 20, Medkit 43, Sephiroth Doncom 51. You see, like something like that. You see, significantly less than anybody else, right? Which is it's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, all right, it's time now for the finale of Flesh. Let's get this shit on the road. This show is still awful. 25 minutes long. Let's watch it. Let's talk about it. Let's go. All right, and that is the finale of Flesh. So a 25-minute big episode, big special video for the sake of the finale. We have our intro here. I haven't, by the way, oh yeah, I never actually discussed the intro of this show. The intro of this show is fine. It's a very standard intro. It's exactly the type of intro that I'd expect as a joke show, like it's relatively, you see the character, you see the name, there's a little goofy thing in the background that chills, right? Like, as far as intros, it is truly not going to be breaking the sigmoid curve of many things, right? Like, we're just doing we're just doing our thing here. So yeah, and then we end up having ourselves everybody chatting about the finales, being all fun, right? They're doing the classic chit chatter because at the end of the day, these fellas they end up being pretty friendly to each other. Like, other than Piano, of course, the cast isn't too like disdained of one another. They've ended up helping each other out on many occasions, like with the butcher in court thing, right? Like with the saving butcher about 400 times, right? That they end up roughly cooperating in a lot of situations because there's a common goal that can be failed, right? Basically, that's what happens to a lot of these challenges. There's a camaraderie that happens between people because it's like, okay, these challenges are difficult because they can be just everyone loses challenges, right? So we like people are trying to just do it in general, so they will ask for help from their other contestants. Because if it was just fetch me an apple, like it's impossible for nobody to fetch them an apple, right? So then it becomes a competitive thing, right? It's like, oh, we're trying to not help each other because we know that it's possible, right? However, something like, oh, give me a not guilty verdict. If we compete and overall each one of us give a worse result, then that just means that the verdict will be guilty, and that means that we will just lose. Right, just globally, like the outcome has to happen, and for the outcome to happen, there needs to be a certain standard of quality, and a certain standard of quality is only possible when there are actually the people working together to make it be like the proper delivered outcome to happen, right? Which makes a lot of additional like the niceness. Steven Universe ends up remaining dead, as well as Piano, of course, being gone. But other than that, they will end up doing their whole shebang. Our final two, by the way, I didn't discuss them too much. Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, and Goku Head. You know what, though? I think that these two and our eventual winner. I think that these two, they do represent the show pretty well. I always like to say that winners should represent the show, and in this situation, I do think it does. A character like Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, right? You think, oh, it's gonna be one no to just a gag, and it's gonna get boring, kind of like how you think of the show, right? But then it surprises you. It starts hitting you with smarter things, unique events, unique things, right? Seth Rogen Donkey Kong starts coming in with unique arts, friendships, enemies, right? Additional assets and everything, right? And new capabilities, right? Beyond just smoking weed. And it's like, okay then, it's starting to level up, just like the show as well, right? With the whole, oh, I thought it was just gonna be a shit post, but instead it was a high effort shit post, and that was a high effort shit post with lore and all that other stuff, right? So a proper, in a way, I think it does represent it. And Goku Head also does a little bit. It's a little bit more of a of the far-fetched, right? You say, oh, Goku, you thought it was gonna be voice, and now it's the voice, and now like it's a text to speech. But that was just me. Like that's, that's not too much. There's a terminology for this, like when you find the answer that you want, because you're looking for it, right? But I don't remember what it's called, but it's a very smart word, okay? But yeah. Then we end up having a breaking news. Every country has stopped existing except for North Carolina. No, wait. No, West Virginia. Sorry, different state. West Virginia is the only place in the world to still exist. Every other country has been destroyed, including Mexico, with the same image of Iceland. This episode does a pretty good job at overall giving callbacks to itself, in subtle ways. Which is nice. However, I will say, remember Mexico was already gone, so I mean, yeah, that's not quite as correct. I mean, like it is correct that it is gone, but it's not like super correct. Technical difficulties is the same jazz. And we end up having an invite to the Butchies by the fella, and the Butchies end up happening, which is the award show. Let's go. Some special guests have been invited, such as Michael Jordan. Bro, Michael Jordan is back. Let's go. But then we have ourselves the most liked contestants. Joe Burton even gets 0 votes. Nobody thinks that is nobody's favorite contestant. That is crazy. But then we end up having the best two. The top voted being Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, best contestant. Woo! Let's go. All right, good job on winning the prize, the award. And then the most hated contestant ended up being none other than Steven Universe with 18 votes. Let's go. Good job. Yeah, I mean, Steven Universe is the type of character where it's like there's no real reason to ever care about them, right? Like they had one episode, you could kind of see the relics of a character there, right? But also it didn't get fleshed out basically. It didn't flesh any of it out, so you can't really properly gauge it out, right? And they're not that interesting in terms of design. They're not that interesting in terms of concept, right? So yeah, I mean, they're gonna be doing at least a piano. You know, you can like the concept of a villain. With this, it's just like, what's the point, right? So goodbye, Steven. I mean, it's already gone, but ultra goodbye. And then the house explodes again. And then you know who arrives? One and only Piano. Piano starts speaking to everybody, starts flying around in midair. Just Seth Rogen calls out, "You can talk," and it's like, "Wow, I'm literally flying, and you're wondering if I can talk." I swear to God, characters do this shit all the time. When a non-talking character talks, and then somebody's like, "Oh my God, you can talk!" Every time they go like, "Yeah, duh." And it's like, bro, stop. Please. It's a normal question. If the mute person speaks, you'll go like, "Whoa, you can do that?" Okay, yeah, maybe they can do other things, but like that's more fair than talking. If you think about it, right? Because okay, maybe piano could just fly the entire time. I don't know. They have teleportation powers. Maybe they go flying powers, right? You know, as a piano, right? Like that is genuinely a more interesting possibility. That I guess he just didn't need to fly, rather than with talking. We're saying, oh no, talking is just a thing that people do all the time on acid, right? So then people keep discussing. Oh yeah, it's so obvious that was gonna speak. No, like flying is, in my opinion, more likely for piano than talking was. I'm just gonna be for real out here, like bruh. But okay, anyways, piano eventually starts talking that they want to win because of the horse. They need the horse. Michael Jordan starts off, but that was great. But then eventually we end up having uh the horse get yeeted away to the other side of West Virginia. And then in the meantime, we end up shooting Butcher, which is going to die. So the challenge is get the horse before piano. Whoever does so will win the show. So that is the final challenge. Get the horse and make sure it's before piano does. In the meanwhile, those two will go over, and then the rest of the eliminated contestants have to fetch off with the army. Well, not necessarily the rest of the eliminated, just everybody in general. They have to fetch off with the army of those acquired people, right? Which include the fellas from the court, the zoo fellas, the zoo, right? Then we end up also having somebody else, right? The doctors on board. It ends up being a relatively interesting. We are mainly taking a heavy usage of the staffs gained in the Bowser Castle. Those are being the main assets here that we're managing to use. A bazooka from Joe Bird, right? But yeah, it ends up being very tough. We get to see we get to see Sock Puppet actually take advantage of the IRL-ness of them by like grabbing them, and then you get to see an IRL shots of the Bowser plush falling down. But that was great, actually. That's interesting. The fact that that's the first time that we've like utilized Sock Puppet in this way, or that we've even acknowledged Sock Puppet's the realism, right? By like being an IRL thing that moves. The fact that that is the first time that we have acknowledged that just in general is a massive missed opportunity. I do gotta say there was definitely quite a lot of stuff that could have been done with that. And hey, I know there's a second season of it that I can't watch today because but in general, like I'll get to it sometime. But yeah, the Bowsers get defeated, and then that means that those fellas are chill. But then the piano ends up coming in to go with the horse after they go buy ice cream at the ice cream guy that exists. Hey, I mean, there could be other people in West Virginia. And then eventually we get to the backstory. Dun dun dun. So we end up at the Wikipedia planet. Just kidding. It's actually the planet of like whatever. It's what is it? What is it? It's a music planet, musical instrument planet. It's a planet where musical instruments are people. Okay. So that's all cool. But now the musical instrument, the planet, right? They were a planet that were apparently entirely obsessed with power. The people, their culture was to take over planets so that they could sell them for profit, right? Take over planet, destroy the people in the planet, just destroy everything, right? That way they could sell it for profit, right? And then if they didn't sell it for profit, they just got rid of the planet. It was of no necessity to them. Now that's a badass, right? However, as the scientists of the planets, no, the scientists of this planet were trying to build, more technology, right, to properly demolish the universe at large. Because for some reason they didn't like the universe, even though they're part of it, right? They were like, all right, then they accidentally have a problem in the science lab, and a black hole forms, and the entirety of the planet is about to be destroyed, and everybody dies except for Piano, because Piano gets brought on a rocket, and it's like, you have great potential, therefore you will fly over to Earth, and you will have to carry our legacy. This is the greatest story since 50 Shades of Grey. So I have not read 50 Shades of Grey, but I felt like saying that anyway. Okay, what do you think of this lore? It's okay. As I said in the last episode, I mean, it was roughly the plot line I was thinking. Right? Oh, Piano comes in, epic fight. Oh, I'm stronger, and then oh my God, power of friendship. Woo! But like in general, it's fine. It's in the way that, like, I think the best comparison point is the Object Point finale, right? Like, it has like, it's a very fine watch. Like, there's nothing wrong with it at all. In terms of like watching a thing. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, sure. Right, like I'll go watch this. It's a nice watch. You'll feel good at the end of it, right? However, it's not breaking any barriers of storytelling. I mean, Object Point is directly ripped from Endgame, but with this, it's a bit more like original. However, it's still, it's got a lot of the beats of any story ever, right? Like we're not exactly doing something too OG, to OG. I already said OG, so I mean original. I mean, it is what it means, but like, it's not, bro. Um, but like, it's especially with the previous episode, which also felt like pretty basic hero things, like, oh no, I've been kidnapped, save me and have a battle, right? And it's like, okay, I mean, is it doing this again, right? So like, I don't mind. It's a thing, right? It's not the most innovative thing ever, but yeah, eventually after we have this backstory with the planet. By the way, who's Piano's Father is like an ultra piano. It's like a grand piano or something. It's like one of those pianos that have like 3 pianos on them. It's really interesting. But eventually they go like, "Yo, we're get out of my sight," and then eventually they go have a battle. Together they start teaming up to fight against it, right? And then, by the way, the piano loves to use the word imbecile, which is a crazy word. I mean, I have heard that word many times. It's just that I haven't ever used that word. I'm gonna be honest. Imbecile is crazy. There's like a certain level of trying to sound cool. You gotta use the word imbecile. I'm sorry. Um, but we end up having some piano get originally defeated by the Kamehameha of Goku until eventually they think they're chill until actually piano was not stopped at all. Goku Head gets shot when they weren't expecting it, and it gets all sad for Goku Head, because all the thing piano's like, "You're suffering, you're my power, you are fools, you dumb, you're imbecile." So then we end up having insects. Yes, great insult. But eventually Donkey Kong ends up turning into Super Donkey Kong. Don't. And then we end up having a super battle. I know, right? It's even cooler than the other time. Um, and then we end up going down to the water. And then Donkey Kong is like, "How do I defeat the piano? I'm at super form, and this guy's still super strong, super." And then I'm like, "Yo, if I get the horse is the almighty being apparently. So if I have the horse, I can take down the piano, right? Okay, I mean that's all fair." But the piano comes in at the last second, gets a shot on the arm, and it's like, "This is futile, this imbecile." But like we end up having all of this jazz. Uh, so eventually, Donkey Kong manages to get one last attack and whiff their short arm to get piano away, and then just rush in, grab the one, the only the horse, and that means that they have activated and finish the challenge. The universe collapses in on itself because at the end of the day, the challenge is over. Before Goku Head did, we successfully had Seth Rogen and Donkey Kong win the series because they touched the horse before Piano did and before Goku Head did. So they now have in between, I don't know, the non-universe, we end up having a discussion between Horse and Seth Rogen and Donkey Kong. Hello, I created the universe, but you get one wish. So yeah, Seth Rogen and Donkey Kong, it's like, all right then. All right. I don't want any of this to happen, right? I don't want to keep fighting these battles and keep having countries explode and have everything and being the competitions that are bad and people dying, right? And all that stuff, right? So then it's like, okay, I am going to wish for Butcher and Piano to never exist, because if neither of those exist, then that means that this show doesn't happen, right? And Piano doesn't come in to take over the horse, right? The horse still exists. The horse is still around, I guess, on Earth, just chilling. But they're not. There's not a prize anymore, right? Which is, yeah. Then eventually the horse end up smoking with Donkey Kong. They just end up hanging out. And what if that's an interesting situation to be in for sure. Imagine you're smoking with the horse who happens to be the creator of the universe. You're just smoking. You're going, whoo, you're smoking weed at the end of the world. Right, it's good. And eventually the series ends. Yippee! Isn't that just so epic? Epic, a pickaxe. But yeah. So that is cool. We have some other moments. The freaking, I think, Bonk and Medkit Kiss. They wasn't under the lock bridge though. So yeah, we have the credits of every single character who appeared in the series, like every single one: French, Butcher Son, Onion Guy, Chef PP Animal, Chef PP Gorilla Boss, Doctor Zombot, Bud Judge, Squilliam Phantom, Santa Claus, RPG Cap, Drybone Soldiers, Emperor, Fat Bowser, Jack Black Bowser, Skrunklies, Germans, and the instrumentals. Oh, yeah, this is so true. But this series, man, this whole series that, as you can see, I'm not exactly talking in the fastest speed about. I gotta say, it was definitely pretty good. It was very impressive. I'm not gonna lie, it was very impressive. Although I've criticized it in terms of storytelling, I do think that's the one, like, probably, it's kind of one of the weak points, but I do think it's very impressive on a production standpoint, right? In terms of like getting this dumb situation and getting these jokes to function in the way that they do, and getting so, and I mean, these episodes, they have so many fight scenes, and even though, oh, it's not the most complicated fight scenes to do ever, right? Because like at the end of the day, it's very PNG characters, right? But like it still takes effort, and especially in like the episode, the Minecraft episode, right? Like that took that must take a mountainous amount of effort. And it goes with a lot of the episode, right? Like it takes a deceptive amount of effort to do what this show did here in season 1. Now I know there's a season 2 that I don't get to watch today. I'm super annoyed about that because but like either way, I fucking failed. But either way, we end up having all of that jazz, right? And it's like, yeah, the show is fine in terms of its storytelling. As I said, it yes ands itself a lot, where like it picks itself up on a joke and then just runs to all the way to the end, right? It just goes all the way with it, right? Like at the end of the day, having the joke that like like, bro, it's so funny because it just takes these jokes to the extreme. All it takes is you write one line, and then you write the next line, and then you write the next line, right? Like, it is truly yes and it's like, okay, French guy kidnapping, then French guy thing, then an explosion, then France disappears, but then wait, how did France disappear? Then they try to figure out a way France disappeared, and then Piano actually destroyed France, but then, oh no, wait, Piano destroyed France, but nobody knows that it was Piano because everybody's exploded, everybody dead, right? And then we're trying to think, yo, who destroyed the country? So then, yo, it was Butcher, so then we gotta go to court with the Butcher, and then after the Butcher does the whole thing, everybody has to save the Butcher. Then we have an Ace Attorney minigame, Roll the Fell. Survivors, and the French guy who steals it again is back, and then we end up having prove them wrong, and then we rig the freaking prosecutor. Like you see, it goes, it's and like it does what it's doing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and that's how it ends up building this web of a narrative that like ends up having so many it has a lot of elements to it, and it builds out this lore because it does a thing as a joke, and then it builds off of it, and then it builds off of that, right? So it builds a path, right? A pathway to making all these things, and then it makes all these things make sense, right? And this is what a lot of shows do, but with this show, it becomes extremely apparent because this show is a joke show primarily, right? So the things that it comes up with are more like extreme, like that's how this show is a good example of that philosophy, I think, because you can see it so clearly in this show, right? Because this show is so extreme in the way that it does it, right? Because like in another show, it can just be something like like an arc slowly developing, right? It's like, oh, you talked to them, and that means that now they start to rethink how they think. It's kind of like, let me think of an example with this show. It's like Bonk gives the notes to Medkit, and then Medkit now starts to slowly reconsider their behavior, right? Like you see, these shows do this, but in a small way. But this show does it in the way, and France has now exploded, right? So then it's like, okay, I mean, yeah. So it's an extreme way to do its philosophy. But yeah, it's not the most incredible narrative ever written. It's very standard. But hey, I was expecting a lot worse from this show. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw what I was looking at with like the thumbnails and everything, I was expecting a much truly lower effort show than this one. But I'm happy to have, I guess, watched it. So yeah. This is all cool. Watching a show from 2 years ago that has a season 2, but I don't get to watch it. Bro, what am I doing in Catchup? What am I doing? What am I doing, bro? Watching a request from like 3 weeks ago about a show that I don't even watch fully. I only watched the first season of it, then not the second bigger season. And then I don't. What am I? What am I on, bro? What am I on? Like, nah. I mean, what? Okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, yeah, this show is cool. In terms of voice acting, I mean, I do think that some of the written was a little bit extreme. Like there were certain cases where the characters were really hard to understand. Like for example, in like that last episode, right, where we were like at the post credit scene, where just a black screen, right, and we're trying to say, okay, piano in tone, to do the attack now, right? Like that was such a strong voice that like friggin' mumbled out lines that it was hard to catch. So I heard that ends up improving for season 2. All right. Which hey, it does exist. The season 2 exists. That's what I think about it. I'm giving the notes on it as if there isn't a season 2, but there is a season 2. You know, there's a season 2. It's old as well. It's 2 years old as well within it, right? So it's like, I mean, I should just take a look at that, but nope, not can't do that because it's so shit. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, I think that's all I can realistically say about Flash. I mean, as a season, right? At the end of the day, you know, usually I like to take in some longer like state of the situation, things at the end of it. But of course, Flash is a more difficult show to chat about because it's kind of just gags and it's difficult to judge gags. So it's like, that was funny, ha ha. That was less funny, not haha, right? So I mean, it can't just do that forever, right? So like, yeah. And either way, again, this isn't the state of things, right? There's still a second season that we're gonna chat about. When will I chat about it? Great question. I will Luigi. I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know, bro. I'm gonna need to figure out everything. Figure out what I'm doing. The holidays and everything's good. It's all everything's getting more complicated. But hopefully I can get stuff done. I think the next session is gonna be the outro because otherwise I'm not getting anything done. So yeah, I mean, I'll see what the next section is. Probably the outro, though. But if it's not the outro, then that means I must start out something else, which is pretty nice. But yeah, that is all for the Flesh talk. All right. Alright, yeah, that will be all for today's video. It is rather unfortunate, to be honest, because yeah, it just wasn't a good day. Can you see it? Can you feel it from the voice? It just wasn't a good day. Which is unfortunate because of course yesterday I was busy, but so then I was like, yo, I'm gonna hit it big today. I'm gonna do Flash. I've been putting it off, and I start doing it, and then the day gets rough. Then I'm like, okay, I can get season 1 done because it's not that long, but then the season 2 can't even start it. Like, holy shit. Um, but yeah, I mean, of course, I don't want to get defeated. There's Objection on the way. I think there's a thing on the 20th as well that is going on here for the Objection. So I gotta keep an eye out on that. For the next couple of days, there's more requests, there's more episodes, Purgatory's on the way, right? But at the same time, the holidays are incoming. There's some other projects that I currently need to do. And then yeah, as I said in the community post, that I don't expect there to be an incredible, like I didn't expect there to be that many videos in December, and I'm currently still not expecting that there's going to be too many incoming because I just got, or at least they're going to be significantly shorter in terms of like having the 2 hours ones. They're pretty much not going to happen, right? Like it's just a little bit, there's just too much stuff going on right now, right? So yeah, we're not all cut up. We're not anything, but for this video, that's all I can muster. I'm very sorry. See you next time. Goodbye.